ChatGPT versus Claude. The honest comparison you need in 2026. This is probably the question I get asked the most lately. ChatGPT or Claude? Which one should you use? And the honest answer, before we get into the details, is this: neither one is universally better than the other. They are tools built on different design philosophies, and understanding those differences is what is actually going to help you choose well. I am not going to sell you the idea that one is clearly superior, because that is not true. What I am going to do is show you exactly where each one excels, using real data from this year's testing and comparisons, so you can make the right decision based on what you actually need. Let us get straight to the facts. 1. Pricing. For the first time, they are nearly identical. Let us start with something simple: price. On the standard plan, both cost exactly the same. Claude Pro and ChatGPT Plus are both priced at $20 a month. For the first time in this comparison, price stops being the deciding factor at the entry level. Where the difference becomes enormous is at the premium tier. Claude Max costs $100 a month, while ChatGPT Pro sits at $200 or more. That is a 2-to-1 price difference, the biggest pricing gap in this entire comparison. So what do you actually get on each entry-level plan? ChatGPT Plus includes image generation, video, voice, and broader ecosystem features. Claude Pro has a more focused feature set, but it includes Claude Code, which for anyone who programs is a serious competitive advantage. 2. Coding. This is where Claude has a clear edge if your work involves code. Here is what you need to know. 70% of developers surveyed prefer Claude for coding tasks. And it is not just perception. Claude Opus 4.6 scores 80.8% on SWE Bench Verified, one of the most respected benchmarks for measuring real coding capability. Cursor-eyed, the most popular AI code editor in 2026, uses Claude as its default model. That is not a coincidence. Why has Claude become the favorite for code? Claude writes cleaner code, handles multi-file projects more reliably, and is more honest about what it does not know. That last point matters enormously when you are building software that handles money or sensitive data. On top of that, Claude explains its reasoning better. When it changes something in your code, it usually tells you why, which is extremely useful when you are trying to understand what went wrong. But ChatGPT does not fall completely behind here. ChatGPT is faster for boilerplate code and has broader framework coverage. If you need something quick and standard, it remains a solid option. 3. Writing. Claude sounds more human. ChatGPT is more versatile if your work is writing, content, marketing, reports. This is the difference you are going to notice the most. The consensus among professional writers is that Claude's output reads as more human-like, while ChatGPT tends toward a formulaic style that is competent but recognizable. There is even an industry term for this: AI slop. Those typical phrases like, "in today's dynamic business environment," or, "it's important to note that," and ChatGPT produces more of that kind of filler. Claude consistently produces more natural prose with a human-sounding quality, avoiding those robotic patterns that often give away that a text was written by AI. But ChatGPT has its own strengths here. It excels at creative fiction, brainstorming sessions, and generating ideas quickly. If you need 50 blog post titles in 2 minutes, ChatGPT is your friend. Bottom line: if you need quality and a natural voice, go with Claude. If you need volume and speed of ideas, go with ChatGPT. 4. Multimodality. Images, voice, and ecosystem. ChatGPT dominates. Here is where ChatGPT has an advantage that Claude simply does not have. OpenAI's advanced voice mode is genuinely impressive. It supports real-time, natural back-and-forth conversation with low latency. It handles interruptions. It understands tone. Claude does not have a native voice mode comparable to that. You can use voice to text to dictate messages to Claude, but that is input only. You do not get spoken responses back. When it comes to images, if you want to generate images, you need to go with ChatGPT over Claude. Otherwise, you will need to add a separate AI image generator to your toolkit. And ChatGPT's ecosystem is broader. ChatGPT generates images with DALL-E, interprets voice, browses the internet, executes code in a sandbox, and connects with thousands of specialized GPTs. If your workflow depends on voice interaction, image generation, or a broad ecosystem of integrations, ChatGPT gives you more tools under one roof. 5. Context and long documents. Claude has the technical edge. This one is technical but extremely practical if you work with lengthy documents. Claude handles 200,000 tokens on its paid plan, roughly equivalent to an entire novel. ChatGPT Plus offers 128,000. What does that mean in practice? For a 5-paragraph email, neither limit matters. But for legal briefs, entire codebases, or long research documents, Claude holds significantly more in memory at once, and does not lose the thread the way ChatGPT tends to in extended conversations. The single most cited reason developers give for switching to Claude is precisely context length. If your daily work involves dropping an entire repository, a multi-hundred-page PDF, or a long legal transcript into a single conversation, this difference outweighs any benchmark score. 6. Which one should you choose? Let us get to what really matters, your decision. If your work is primarily code, reasoning, or writing, Claude is the better choice. If you need image generation, voice interaction, desktop automation, or ecosystem breadth, ChatGPT is the better choice. Put simply, Claude is deeper. Better at coding, writing, reasoning, and working with massive contexts. It does fewer things, but does them exceptionally well. ChatGPT is broader. Better at images, voice, browsing, integrations, and general-purpose assistance. And here is something interesting that a lot of power users are already doing: having access to both platforms. They complement each other remarkably well. Using Claude for long-form writing, document analysis, and code review, and switching to ChatGPT for brainstorming, quick questions, and anything requiring current web data. For power users with budget flexibility, using both for $40 a month total gets you access to the best coding and reasoning AI alongside the best multimodal feature set. Let us recap everything we covered today. Pricing: practically identical on the basic plan, Claude cheaper on the premium tier. Coding: clear advantage for Claude. Writing: Claude sounds more natural, ChatGPT generates ideas faster. Multimodality: ChatGPT dominates with voice and images. Long documents: Claude handles more context without losing coherence. There is no absolute winner. There is a right tool depending on what you do every single day. If you code or write professionally, try Claude. If you need multimedia versatility, try ChatGPT. And if you can afford it, using both is probably the smartest strategy in 2026. If this video helped you decide, let me know in the comments, which one are you going to use? Subscribe if you want more honest AI tool comparisons. See you in the next video.